Bots for the win.
Coming up on today's edition of the Bots for the Win podcast, we're talking about start simple, just ship it, segmentation, build modular, visualization, and lastly, why a bot subscriber is worth more. Are you seeing it? I am. More people are talking about bots. More people are podcasting about bots. More posts and members in the various different Facebook groups. I'm seeing more courses on bots being created and sold, and the webinars and the template packs and the troubleshooting calls. Lastly, I'm really seeing more people leverage bots in more places in their marketing. Marketers I've followed for years, know, love, trust, respect, all of that. Bots are popping up in more and more frequent places. They're getting more use and more leverage. And I think leveraging messenger bots in marketing is on the move. It's arrived.
Way ahead of yourselves, aren't you, boys? This is just another mining camp.
Have you seen how everyone dresses? Awful Tony for a mining camp. No, sir, the die is cast. We are growing. Be as big as San Francisco in a few years and just as sophisticated.
Love that movie. But it sort of feels that way, right? You want to ask yourself the question about whether or not, is it just another mining town? Is it really arrived? But I think it has. I feel like as the year comes to a close, there's a huge shift going on, and when you start seeing it on the fringes, pretty soon it's going to move to the mainstream, and I think we'll see. But I think we've certainly arrived. Now, given it's the end of the year, I figured I would compile my 5 greatest lessons on bot building in 2018. Lessons learned the hard way throughout the year. My takeaways from a year of bot building and learning and podcasting and making videos and all the rest. They might be learned in 2018, but I think they will be just as relevant in 2019 and beyond as they are right now. So moreover, I should mention I've had the opportunity over the year to play with, build, design a number of different bots in a number of different niches, all utilizing paid traffic, read instant feedback and learnings, everything from e-commerce to content marketing to SaaS to back again. So permit me, if you will, to cover the 5 and then combine them to answer the big question, right? Is a messenger subscriber really worth more? So that's the plan. That's what I'd like to do. So number 1, bots for the win. Yes. But also start simple. Start simple. Call it KISS. Start simple for the win. Ask yourself what your objective is. Okay, my objective is to get an email address. Okay, if that's the case, what is the simplest, quickest way I can do that? Hey, Patrick, is this your best email address? 1 sentence, 1 block, 1 ask. Get that in the water and see if it works. Do not overthink things. Bots are brand new in the grand scheme, and we really are predisposed as marketers and communicators to be long-winded. We just are. Certainly more long-winded than the bot medium demands. And I've seen this so many times. Part of what I do is I play in a niche where I'm both encouraging and then subsequently teaching people to get started in bots. And one common theme of the newbies is to be long-winded, almost, to a person. Way, way too much text, too many blocks, wasting too much time. I've seen this so many times in my own bot building. Way too long-winded. It's just a tendency you have. I mean, it's just, we're trained to communicate a certain way. This is new. It is not long format. So we need to retrain ourselves on how to effectively communicate in this new medium. And we ought to be constantly reminding ourselves to keep it short and sweet. And I think, when you start to experience a bunch of different bots and a bunch of different niches, this is when it really rings true. Like, don't use 5 blocks when 3 will do it. Don't use 5 sentences when 1 will do it. Don't have 5 options when 2 will do. Great example, the one everybody talks about is the Lego bot. And why is it such an awesome bot? A number of reasons. But for me, it's the copywriting. That bot gets to the business in such a short period of time. I mean, no fluff, no bloviating, no crap whatsoever. It's just got amazing copywriting. Pull out Messenger, search it, and go through it, and you'll see. When you experience a bot that does the conversation piece really well, you're just left with this satisfying feeling. I mean, I find at least it's like, just feels like magic when you go through one. So when building, start as simple as possible. If needs be, make it more complex from there. But ask yourself, what is my objective? And then challenge yourself to accomplish that objective in the shortest number of steps possible. I find that to be a really helpful framework. Try it. That's number 1. Number 2, bots for the win? Yes, but also just ship it. or in the context, hold on, I got to pull up my little button. In the context in which I learned it, just ship it, right? Other buzzwords abound. MVP, if you're not embarrassed by your first version you've launched too late. It's all the same thing. It's all great. So relevant to bots. Example, you keep things simple. You get a flow in the water. You get a growth tool or ad going. You start running people through your flow. Your flow lives in a folder. You call it V1. You see where it's leaking. You churn out V2. And then you constantly iterate on it. You turn it on. You do the same thing over and over again. I have folders with 10 versions of flows in them. And now that flow is seriously doing damage. You don't overthink it. You don't worry about whether or not it's perfect. You don't worry about whether or not it breaks the bot commandment of never letting your flow end. You get something in the water immediately. You just effing ship it, and you get the feedback and improve it. By the time you've gotten that unwieldy multi-step mess that you're making, is it perfect? Let me just make a few more changes. I got to add a few more things so that I'm already on version 8 by the time you've got yours in the water. Looking at what's next. So number 2, just effing ship it. Do not overthink it. Get the flow in the water. Start driving subscribers through it. Iterate from there. That one is so critical. It is absolutely fundamental to how I approach bot development, and I think it should be for you too. These things are still so new. No one's going to care. No one's going to know it's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Get it in the water. Turn it on. Put people through it. You don't need any fancy conditions or API integrations or connect it through Integromat. You don't need any of that. Turn it on. Start running people through it and start iterating on it. One folder, different versions. See how you do. That's number 2. Number 3, bots for the win. Yes, but also segmentation. Segmentation. The golden goose of bots. It just is. You get people into your bot. You ask survey questions, and the goose produces from both ends, from all ends. You get the right message to the right people, and you speak to them where they are. You make sure the good people end up in the correct custom audiences and remarketing an email list. You make sure the bad fits for what you are selling get put into an exclusion list. Never see another dime of paid traffic. In many cases, unsubscribe from your email list and bot to get them out of there. It's better for you and better for them. The best part of the goose is this segmentation. You can get this intel immediately up front from their first interaction. That is just so striking. That is just such a crazy thing to even think about. You have people coming to interact with your business, your website, your digital operation for the very first time, and you get to run a credit check on them? Are you kidding me? The fact that works, the fact that 95, 96, 97% of the people I'm throwing through these things are actually doing it, that's insane. I mean, that's just insane. Cold traffic, you just met. You get the credit report right then and there. I mean, it's unreal to me. It's unreal to me. It is the golden goose of bot building. And not only is it more effective than in the bot than just about any other method that I've seen. Yeah, okay, quizzes can be nifty. I get it. You can do it in a quiz too. But it's just so efficient in the bot. Evaluating a bunch of cold traffic sources against one another, good. Run them all through concurrently with the same spend, and you can immediately evaluate one against the other just based on the survey responses. It really is the golden goose. So understand your traffic and potential customers, survey and segment them, go all in on the good ones and get the bad ones out. Critical thing to think about early on in your bot building. What constitutes a good customer for you? What questions might you ask that will indicate who is indeed the good customer? And by the way, I've had great success asking financial questions about what type of financial state they're in, whether it's healthy or not. You can do anything and they will answer. So big one, number 3, segmentation. Number 4, bots for the win. Yes, but also build modular. You've heard me mention this one on the podcast before. It's just so critical. Keep your flows small and simple. The minute they start getting big and unwieldy looking, when they're hard to see without constant zooming in and zooming out, then they're too damn big. Cut them down into subsequent flows and then stitch those together. When you have a bunch of small flows working together, it's just so much easier to wrap your head around what's going on and then bolt in and bolt out the various different modules, right? To be able to update them and fix leaks, deal with bugs, optimize, iterate, all of that. So that's the jam. Build them. Once they start getting complicated, split them into 2 and do it again, rinse and repeat. You know, not only does this build on number 1, keep it simple, but it makes it so much easier to analyze, fix leaks, and it's a better overall way to think through your conversation with your users, the various different steps you want to take, the messaging in there. I'm finding it to be a really critical component about good bot building. I've made it my mantra, recommend you do too. Okay. We're number five. Number five. Bots for the win. Yes. But also visualization. You ever, when I was recording this thing, I got thinking in my head, did you ever see, what was it called? American Pie, right? The movie's called American Pie. And I'll just play it.
For you seniors, this marks the culmination of the past 4 years.
Culmination. You got that assistant coach character that just makes me laugh. All he does is parrot the coach. But we got segmentation, visualization, culmination. Couldn't help myself there with that. But let's talk about visualization. You run ads. Bot subs are coming in. You ask your segmentation questions. They segment themselves. Your next step, after all you build modular, is a new flow with some conditional logic that dumps these now segmented leads into specific pieces of content that work for them. Let's talk about that again. I went quick. You run ads. Bot subs are coming in. You ask your segmentation questions. They segment themselves. Your next step, again, you're building modular, is a new flow with some conditional logic that dumps these now segmented leads into specific pieces of content that work for them. It really doesn't matter what you dump them into. Now, I run this, and in 24 hours time, with a minimal spend, I log back into ManyChat and I take a look at this new flow. What I am greeted with in this flow is not only is it visual, not only is it show what percentage answered this question, answered that question, but now it's all just laid out visually right in front of my eyes. What percentage of good leads have come in? What are the types of leads? It's all segmented and all there visually for me to look at in 2 seconds. I did not have to go into some services and cobble together data from here and there and put it into a spreadsheet and figure out how to get the visualization on this, right? It's in a GUI right in front of your face, a graphical user interface in front of your face. And I think until you see this truly in action, you're perhaps unaware of the profundity of it. I certainly was. It's just, is it a new thing? Let's just say this. Is it a new thing? No, it's not. Okay. My wife, she has a PhD in applied research methodology, fancy name for statistics. She currently also applies her trade in the marketing world. She works for an agency, that works for big brands, big accounts, huge companies. She does her measure best to analyze all of this data, bring in all the sources, parse it, spreadsheets, use fancy visualization tools, and prepare these reports for like CMOs and top brass of whatever brand, right? She and her team spend hours cooking this stuff up. What they churn out is really impressive, and I rarely get to see them, and it's impressive. But the data is the data, right? Unless you're crazy data-minded, it's hard to translate lines on a spreadsheet into actionable intel. You're certainly not going to have it looking this clean as it is in her reports without spending a lot of time and money. With the ManyChat visualization run in the aforementioned format, it gives you a damn near instant visual and actionable intel without you having to touch a thing. Not a thing. I mean, it's amazing. It's profound. And I think once you have it, touch on something that I said earlier, you realize how powerful this can be in practice. And what do I mean? You're running ads at cold traffic. You have a few different audiences in the water. You run the same budget at each. You take a look at your visualizations, and in minutes, you understand which audience is outperforming the others. Based on, here's audience A, here's audience B. 95% in each case went through the survey. I've dumped the survey into this new flow, and I get to see visually how many are this, how many are this, how many are this, how many are this, how many are this. I'm then able to evaluate which cold audience is bringing me in better traffic, shut one off, go all in on the other one, right? It's amazing. It's amazing. And yes, of course, there's other ways to do this, but assuming you're working on any type of product or service where the sales cycle is longer than 24 hours, right? Like, look, is this going to change the game for you if you're an e-commerce company and you advertise to cold traffic and they buy the widget first visit? No, you get sales data. What do you care? But if you've got a sales cycle lasting longer than 24 hours, the fact that you can get a clean look at things this quickly is amazing, amazing. So that's my 5. I actually have a killer 0.5 I could add to this, but I'm going to save it for a bot hack. So look for that coming up. Excuse me. So the big question is a bot subscriber worth more? Is a bot subscriber, a messenger subscriber worth more? This is the existential question that is here now for some of us and will be soon for the rest. Are they? And if so, what are you going to do about that, right? I would say that there's a number of operators out there, myself included, that everybody's in the same sprint right now to answer that question. Is a bot subscriber worth more than an email subscriber? And for the pioneers, It's about continuing to bring in the data that already confirms our suspicions and gut senses that one is, right? Namely, that bots of the future, call it Web 3.0 if you like, and that they will be more effective going forward to grab cold traffic, segment it, move it down the funnel, and ultimately turn it into customers in a more effective, cost-effective, and efficient manner. Quicker and smoother than its alternatives. And so going back to the operators and what I continue to see out there, I feel like everybody's in this sprint right now to do the same thing, continuing to bolt bots into more stages of our operations and funnels, continuing to see nothing but good signs, giving the bot more, looking at the data, proving it can do a better job, all the while looking for red flags and just going, is this real? Is this real? I mean, is this, anybody in any department see any reason why these things are not as good as an email subscriber? Is there anything negative about this? Like, I think everybody's just doing that, and everybody's taking one step more at a time. One more growth tool here, one less link to a form, one more growth tool there, more ad spend moving into messenger ads. And so I think, it's amazing. It's just amazing. And what's amazing about it is when you take a step back and ponder what that looks like, right? Like, let's project out what is going all in? What does going all in on bots look like? 100% of the lead gen forms on your site gone, 100% focused on driving bot subscribers. Your forms, your buttons, your pop-ups, your exit pops, your site chat, your emails, the links in your YouTube subscription, Instagram bio. Are all of those going to growth tools? All leveraged to get bot subscribers from everywhere you're doing your marketing? And so I think everyone is trying to figure that out right now at a macro, and then, for their specific niches in businesses at a micro, because you'll get some variance there. So let's get back to the existential, right? Is a bot subscriber worth more than an email subscriber? Spoiler alert, I believe that they are. But let me attempt to answer that with compare and contrast from my experiences that incorporates and combines the culmination of the learnings in my 5 things here. Old way. Let's talk about the old way. Cold traffic add to your site. You captured the email. You followed up an email. The open rates are okay, but not great. You asked some questions, and some folks answered, and some folks didn't, and most didn't even open the email. You put them back into your remarketing audiences. You're going to start spending on them again. You send them more email. You try and get them back again, and that costs money and time, right? You've attempted to move them down the funnel. In your stack, you had emails going, remarketing, browser notifications, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. During the course of all of that, you attempted to map this journey out with a combination of spreadsheets and third-party services and funnel visualization services and tags in your database, etc. At the end of which, you had a pretty good handle on things, right? So if that's the old way, and yes, there's variations, but I think you probably get the gist. The new way, you send traffic to the bot. Ads or growth tools on your site. It doesn't always have to be ads. It's just kind of where I've been playing, so it's fresh in my mind. But you send traffic to the bot with growth tools or ads. You immediately ask for and get the email address. So now we already have the old way covered. Like the conversion to email in the bot is so high, it's out of control. So what's next, right? Oh yeah, worth mentioning, messenger ads are crazy cheap right now in contrast to their competitors and, which are the other ad objectives. But anyway, let's get into the rest of the journey. Then we survey the audience. It's a crazy thing. Pretty much everybody will answer those survey questions up front. Over 90% average of my testing across different niches, as I said. After you survey them, at the end of which you deliver some value, you let them know you'll be following up and end the conversation, which, by the way, of course, dumps them off on a menu so they might just poke around some more. Then you start broadcasting to them in Messenger. Yes, with the Messenger open rates, they're going away. You might even throw the 1-2 punch at them, the email plus Messenger combo a few episodes back. But more importantly, speaking to them with our survey data in a voice and subject material that is completely relevant to them after the first interaction. Like, how many replies do you get when you send an email, by the way? How many? Not many, right? Here and there, a few tops. How many replies do you get when you send a broadcast in Messenger? A whole lot of them in my experience. So you start having conversations. And if you focus correctly, you've got your segmented people, you're having the conversations with the people are great fits for your business. And let's just say, to keep this in a compare and contrast, it's now day 3 from the time they first met you, from the time that they came to your site, however they did, and got into your bot or email list. You have an email, you have a survey response, you sent them messages, you might even have had a conversation with a potential customer. Where are you at on the old way at day 3? Where are you at in the old way on day 3, 3 days after the cold traffic has come in? You're certainly not there. So you're going to ask me if a bot subscriber is worth more than an email subscriber. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. and by orders of magnitude more. They just are. They just are. So let's wrap it up. 2018, almost in the books. Amazing year. What does 2019 portend for the podcast and the nascent content marketing operation that is Bots for the Win? Yes, I certainly realize the podcast schedule has been, shall we say, suboptimal. I really do want to be on a fixed and constant schedule, regular publishing. I'm a content marketer. I know how important it is. But number one, with this podcast, I've sort of gotten into the situation where in lots of the episodes, I'm not only releasing the audio piece, but there's been follow-up flows and Facebook posts and videos and emails. So it makes the release of them like a lot of work to get done. They just are. So that's been killing the schedule a bit. Sort of torn on that, as I think that's what sets this podcast aside from the others on Bots, is that I'm doing that extra work, that you're getting the hardcore tactical. And I know many of you have messaged me in the bot that you're really appreciating that extra work. So thanks for that. Number two, it's been a crazy year with my kids. They're at tough ages, which I'm continually reminded by my peer group will very shortly get much easier, albeit more difficult in other ways, right? So is that an excuse? Absolutely it is, but it is what it is. Number three, I've got no plans on monetizing things. I'm enjoying giving back a bit. I'm enjoying continuing to learn myself with the new bot first marketing entity, which is the podcast. You know, it's a fresh thing. It's not like converting one business into, you know, going all in on Messenger. So I'm enjoying exploring those things sort of unencumbered by things. But without a real business behind it, it tends to get kicked to the back burner when, you know, the other real businesses come calling and fires need to be put out. So apologies for that. And just sort of saying all that to say, as I reflect on the year, and many of you sent me messages about like, hey, are you burning out already? You're only 8 episodes into this thing. So now, yeah, so just some general reflections there on the year. Now, early listeners will remember the bot teardowns. For the uninitiating, I was testing content types. So it's content marketer. It's what I do. So I would film a teardown of other bots and what I liked and found interesting about them, which I think is still a great idea. But I got burned out on churning those things out super early on, despite the fact they still get some pretty decent traffic. But I think there's a great opportunity to do that. Somebody should do that. Just tear down bots all day and say what you like and put the videos up. Cool thing to do. I might have to staff up to get that done. But I've pivoted to the bot hacks. And some of you have likely seen the first two, some not. What are they? Quickly, they're short video, audio rants on all of the hacky bot stuff and marketing stuff I'm using in my own bot building practice. That's, you know, making my bot building and learning more effective, efficient. So stuff like that's, you know, too short for a podcast episode, but I really want to get out there. So plan is, no matter what, to drop at least one of those once a week going forward in 2019. There, I said it, I'm committed. And I've got some killer ones in the can. I can't wait to drop those too. So to get the bot hacks, to get the latest podcast episodes of everything I release, you'll of course have to get into the bot. Easiest way to do that, pull out Messenger on your phone, search Bots for the Win, click get started, and get into the bot. Now on that note, thanks for listening, for the messages and questions, and for being part of the audience. I am truly appreciative of your attention. So here is to wishing you and yours Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. See you in 2019, cold beers, and as always, have a great day. Thanks for checking out that video. I hope you got a ton of value out of it. If you did, I would be elated, thrilled, over the moon. If you consider subscribing, you can do that by hitting the subscribe button below. Also, this entire operation is about bots. I mean, what are we doing here? So the best way to learn about it, to see the best stuff that I share, is to get into my bot. You can do that by pulling out your phone. It's in your pocket right now. Open Messenger, search for Bots for the Win, click get started, and I'll see you in the bot. I share a ton of unique killer stuff in there. Patrick, Bots for the Win. Thanks for watching my video on YouTube. The question becomes, what are you going to do next? Are you going to watch a new one? Because
it'd be a lot cooler if you did.